All right, welcome back to this training section. It's going to be talking to you about how real business owners manage their time. So this is going to be a very important training section in the business calendar training, because what we're going to do is we're going to walk you through exactly which central calendar software to use and exactly why it's so important to be able to even use a central calendar. Because for some of you, this is going to be new. For some of you, it's going to be a little bit old. You're going to be like, you know what, I've already been using a central calendar. But even for you, this is going to be very important because we're going to walk you through exactly what the steps for that are going to be. Look, okay, so here's the thing. The more and more you become a better and better business owner, you're going to find that you're going to have more and more things going on in your life. Why? Because the truth is that running a business is very, very different from having a 9-to-5 or being an employee, right? And so this is what I think a lot of people who are entrepreneurs, who are wannabe business owners, they don't understand. And that's really where the winners, the professional entrepreneurs, they understand this, okay? Because the thing is that the entrepreneurs, the wannabe entrepreneurs, they want to make as much as a medical doctor, right? $300,000 per year plus, but they don't really understand the actual work that is required in order to get there. Because the truth is that the more professional that you become in business, right? The more professional of a business owner you become, more veteran, the more you're going to actually be dealing with people. Okay, so in the beginning, when it's just you as a solopreneur, you're kind of meeting with a lot of the leads, the prospects, the customers, the clients, right? But then as you start to get more and more professional, what's going to happen here is that you're going to start to deal with contractors, employees, partners, team members, right? Relationships. You're going to have more networking. And so what's going to happen is that as you become more and more of a veteran business owner, more and more of a professional business owner, you're going to start to deal with more and more people. And you're going to have a lot more going on. And so what's going to happen is that the professional business owners, they, from the very get-go of their beginning business journey, they have a way to be able to manage and organize their time. And that's what you're going to have to learn as well. And so this is why professional, real business owners, they do not just rely on their memory or writing things down in some notebook in order to organize their most important asset. Their most important asset is time. And so therefore they have a system that allows them to be able to effortlessly navigate and organize all of that, right? And at the heart of that system is their central calendar. And so this is visually what kind of it looks like once you're kind of getting into this entire process, right? And this is kind of a graph that we drew here, is that how much you have going on, right? How much you're working with people. Let's say, for example, you know what? You don't really work with people a lot. You don't have a lot going on. You're kind of a 9-to-5 employee, or maybe an entrepreneur, you're maybe a stay-at-home, something, whatever it might be, is that maybe you're not using any calendar. A lot of people, maybe the general population falls into that boat, right? Then as some people start to get more and more stuff going on, right? What they end up doing is they end up, starting to write stuff down on a notebook and that kind of stuff, right? Now, the truth is that for people who don't got anything going on, like they're like at the bottom here, they might not be doing anything, right? Because they will, how do you manage your doctor's appointments and how do you manage all that? Unfortunately, the people who are just like really, really just not functioning very well or not productive or not sophisticated in society, they don't do anything. They don't use any tools, right? But the truth is that business owners are some of the most sophisticated, productive people in the entire society. And so for them, as they get more and more going on because they're making more and more of an impact, they're providing more and more value to other people, they're interacting with other people, as they go through this process, kind of the third rung here is that they start to use a central calendar. The central calendar is the hub that allows them, as they get more and more stuff going on, to be more and more productive, to be more and more sophisticated, to be more and more organized, right? And then as you get more and more stuff going on, as you deal with clients, as you have more and more leads coming on here, then cool, guess what? You go ahead and now have a central calendar that is then integrated with a booking calendar. So that way you can even further buy back your time. You can even further be able to organize your time. So that way you're not going ahead and playing telephone with somebody to organize what time you should meet. And so I want you to go ahead and take a second right now and ask yourself the question is like, hey, for a lot of you who are just going through this as, new business owners, a lot of you might be falling in these camps over here, right? And for some of you, you might say, you know what? Yeah, I already use a central calendar, right? And then for a very small percentage of you, only a small percentage of you are actually doing this. And so that's where most people fall into this camp here, right? So I would say probably, 50 to 60% of people, unfortunately, because they've never been business owners before, because they don't know how to manage their time, they don't know how to be organized, they don't know how to be able to be focused. They're sitting here and having never done any of this. And, there's probably another, 20 to 30% of people who are sitting over here, which is probably good, but only a very small minority is actually already using a central calendar that is organized with a booking calendar that allows them to be able to get the highest leverage for their time. And so having that central calendar, like the one we're about to walk you through in the next immediate training section, is going to be critical for you to be able to go ahead and be organized with your time as a real business owner. So that's the point of this specific training section, is to make sure that you understand the importance of a central calendar. So that way you identify, hey, where am I on this spectrum? I recognize that, you know what, in the past, I've not used any calendar. Maybe I haven't written things down, or maybe I have written things down. But guess what? After this training section, you're now going to be leveling up, and we're going to be walking you through so that way you can actually do all of this properly. And so I'm just warning you ahead of time that if you are one of those people who says, hey, you know what? I organize my time. It's all in here, right? If you're one of those people not using any calendar right now, you're just writing it down in random places, that's fine if you're planning on staying a newbie or a wantrepreneur business owner, right? So if you are in these camps over here, guess what? It's time to level up, because it's time to become a professional business owner. So if you're looking to get into business, you're looking to be able to learn this new skill of using a central calendar, being able to learn the new skill of using a booking calendar, it's going to take time, because you got to learn a new habit, you got to learn a new system. That's fine. That's a normal part of life, right? So we're just warning you ahead of time as we go ahead and go into the next couple training sections and walk you through how to set up your central calendar. I'm warning you right now, it's a habit and it's a skill that you're going to learn. So yes, you're going to get the knowledge of how to actually set up your central calendar. We're going to walk you through how to set up the Google Calendar, what we recommend and all that. But it's going to be the repetition. It's going to be the repetition. It's going to be the reps over time that's going to allow you to build that habit and that skill of using your central calendar to be the most organized and the most focused that you can be. And so before we actually get into that next training section and walk you through that setup, I want to go ahead and clear up right now which central calendar software that you are going to be using. So we previously talked about how there's Google Calendar, there's Outlook, there's Apple iCloud Calendar. But in the next training section, we're going to be specifically walking you through how to set up Google Calendar. Okay, so Google Calendar is going to be the one that we are going to go ahead and walk you through in the next immediate training section to get set up. Now, I want to go ahead and address some questions here. If anybody is listening to this training, everybody's going through this training and says, but coach, I already use Outlook. I already use Apple iCloud Calendar. Do I have to switch? And let me go ahead and answer that question very, very quickly here. Okay, look, at the end of the day, you can do whatever you want. This is your business. This is your life. It's a free country. You can do what you want, right? But our goal is to help you build a system that works together. So that way, as you grow, as you scale your business, you do not end up with problems, because many of those problems you're not even going to know what ends up happening, right? Because a lot of beginner business owners, they start and they're like, oh, you know what? The Outlook told me that I could do this, or Wix told me that I could do that, and it's going to be free, and da-da-da-da-da, right? And then, but the thing is that when you're starting out, you don't know what you don't know. And so you don't know all of the fine line in terms of, okay, well, it doesn't integrate with this, it doesn't do that, it doesn't do this. And so unfortunately, beginner business owners, they try to nickel and dime and Frankenstein duct tape their monster, and they get it all wrong. And then they come to us and they're like, hey, you know what? My business calendar is here, my scheduler is here, my domain name is here, my CRM is here, my XYZ is there. How am I going to connect all this together? And the problem is that they got it wrong from the very beginning. Right? They started doing this Frankenstein duct tape spiderweb mess of a monster instead of having a system and a strategy that could actually work together. And so it ends up costing them more, or it ends up causing them more of an issue, not just costing them financially, but also from a time perspective, from an attention perspective. So yes, you're in this program so that way you can build a system that effortlessly works together easily, seamlessly, without a massive headache. And so yes, it is your business, it is your income, it is your future. Our recommendation, because you're going to be supporting yourself and your family from the system, is to do it properly. But at the end of the day, we're just going to be walking you through our recommendation. At the end of the day, it is your choice. Whatever you decide to do, you can do whatever you want to do. But what we are going to be walking you through is going to be Google Calendar for a number of reasons, because we have been able to go ahead and scale the infrastructure of the software of Google Calendar to know, hey, yes, in fact, it does integrate with what it is that we need it to do. Okay, so just don't come and say we didn't warn you. If you come and say, hey, yeah, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and use my Apple iCloud Calendar as my central calendar, don't say that we didn't warn you later on, okay? So if you're ready to go ahead and get started, what we're going to go ahead and do in the next training section to go ahead and get you leveled up so that way you are a real business owner with a central calendar is we're going to go ahead and start walking you through how to go ahead and get Google Calendar set up the right way, so that way it'll actually go ahead and integrate with your booking calendar later on, as well as going ahead and creating some of those foundational calendar events and then being able to use some of the advanced features of the central calendar. So with that being said, don't delay. We'll catch you in the next training section.